So I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but I kind of told you so. Hello, Marks. I'm Justin Draven alongside my tag team partner, Loki, the Dorky Yorkie, the Dog of Mischief, and I told you so. I told you. If you want to go back and look at my earlier videos about a year ago, when I officially kind of started calling all Marks, I said it. I said all of this. Everything that's gone down in the past 2 years or so. The only thing I've really kind of been wrong about was Cody going back to WWE. And even then I was kind of delusional because I was more invested. Because we, like I said before in other videos, if you want to go back and listen, we were like on similar journeys. So I didn't want him to go back. But I kind of knew he was going back. But mostly every other thing that I've covered, I've been correct about. Because I don't cover the same shit that everybody else covers. I'll take a different angle on it. Every time. The consummate heel, if you would. Every time. Every time I comment on something, I'll bring up an angle and everyone's like, "No, you're just crazy. Oh, why are you getting worked up? You're nuts. Go home and cry, Mark." All this shit. Somebody told me to trade places with Brody Lee. Like, it's brutal. But I'll still say that shit because I don't really care. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not saying anything ridiculously crazy. But some of the Meltzers, which are like the nuclear level Marks, they get mad. And they start talking all sorts of shit. Because they know what I'm saying is true. Yeah, and I know you're thinking, well, what are you saying is true? What are you saying is true? You keep beating around the bush. Tell us what you're saying. I'll tell you. And you can go back and listen to the videos. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me. The first thing I said, okay, was AEW was their first mistake, was they had it publicly known that Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes were EVPs and active wrestlers. That was their first mistake. You know why it was? Because it was a lose-lose situation. No matter what they would do, they would catch heat. And that's why they shouldn't have been known to be EVPs. That's just the first thing. That's just the first tip of that issue. Because then I said, well, what happens when they start inevitably having problems behind the scenes? Oh, well, they're not going to have problems behind the scenes. Everybody gets along. Yeah, but well, what if they were called the Elite, and then the way they were making it out to be, as if they had a stock in the company or a stake in the company, so it was all Elite wrestling. What happens if they all leave? Or if they all have a little tiff with Tony Khan? Do they get to keep the Elite? He obviously gets to keep all Elite wrestling. Do they get to still be the Elite? Why would they want to be the Elite? Well, that just ruined their gimmick. So that was always a bad thing. Secondly, which goes in line with all of this, I had said, Tony Khan doesn't need to hire everybody. He needs to hire the right people. He needs to hire a few ex-WWE guys with some name value. Everyone else needs to be behind the scenes people. Don't do everything yourself. I said all this. Cheap plug for myself. Go back and listen to them. There's about a year's worth of videos so far. Go back. I believe one of them is called AEW Needs to Go Back to Basics. Pretty sure. Don't believe me? Go ahead. Go listen. Go back and listen to when I said the dirt sheets are killing the business. That the dirt sheets lie to you. They lie to you. They might know a wrestler or two, but no one on top. And then I had said, maybe all those mass firings weren't due to budget cuts. Maybe those were the people who were leaking shit. Because the leaks stopped pretty quick after that. Obviously, there was still some leaks because the dirt sheets got to stay in business. But there's only a select few people that do that. Other than that, these dirt sheet guys hang around the events, the arenas, and they fucking beg janitors for information. Or they're throwing out the most vague, clickbaity story that they can think of to just get you to read their shit or to go to their sites or just to generate buzz for themselves. And then I said that the two most popular companies were trying to kill the dirt sheets by running out their pay-per-views later. So the guys have to be out later, have to report on it later. And then they were releasing all the guys that were releasing the leaks. I mean, it all lines up around the same time frame. All those things did happen around the same time. Go back and look into it. And then, around the Royal Rumble, while everyone else is talking about how Shane McMahon sabotaged the Rumble and how he walked out or got sent home by Vince, nobody else asked the question, well, why? So, I started saying, well, he's not a mark like the rest of us. He knows inside information. He'd be privy to some stuff that none of us would be. Maybe he found something out. Maybe he was cut out of the will, cut out of the business. Who knows? Who knows? So he tried to sabotage the Royal Rumble, threw a hissy fit, and got sent home. Everyone said, no, you're nuts. You're nuts. You're crazy. And all I was saying was maybe he found out WWE was secretly sold, so to speak. Or all the infrastructure was changed to where he was no longer involved. Somebody else was in control. That's all. All I said was that if they're not selling WWE, the way things are playing out and the way that the infrastructure is changing so fast and rapidly, that there was more than likely a power play going on to get Vince McMahon out of that company. Everybody laughed at me, made fun of me. A couple months later, what happens? Oh, Vince McMahon's paying a paralegal for sex. And then he's sharing her like a bad joke to John Laurinaitis. Then he paid her, and they gave her an NDA and paid her about $3.5 million. And then, come to find out, he spent $15 million in NDAs over the course of a few years. Makes you wonder about why so many female wrestlers just kept disappearing. So many female personalities kept disappearing. Makes you wonder why certain female performers claim mental health and just walk out, or claim disrespect and walk out, and then come back on the Stone Cold podcast thanking Vince McMahon for the millions of dollars, even though she's really undeserving of it, and came back to work happy as a fucking pig in shit, and then walk around with an inflated ego and then left again. Started making public appearances. Started taking pictures at a C2E2 event after getting $30,000 to show up and probably charging fans hundreds of dollars. I think it was $150 a pop. She stood 6 feet away and wore a mask. People lost their minds. I said, her career's over. She's not coming back. You all lost your minds, said, no, she's coming back. She's too good. She's too beautiful. Rah, rah, rah. She's coming back. I said, no. She saw that backlash online from all the marks. And she was like, oh, I fucked up. I can't come back because now they're going to boo me. I'm not going to get the pop I think I'm going to get. And she said that she's not coming back. She's going to focus on modeling and music and stuff. Huh. Guess I was right again about that one. You can go back and look at all those videos. All of them. And then corroborate the time of when I said them. And when everyone else was reporting them. Because, yeah, I might be talking about the same thing certain times everybody else is talking about. Because I'm talking about whatever's in the news of the day. But the shit that I'm saying really comes through and happens. Might not be right away, but it happens. The only thing I've been wrong about so far is Cody. All those women came back after fucking Vince McMahon retired. Look at all the female wrestlers that came back. I said all your favorite female wrestlers got NDAs. Vince retires, they all come back. Nobody else was saying this shit. Nobody. Go back and listen. None of them. Nobody's saying this stuff. They're just parroting what the dirt sheets say. Passing it off as reporting. And if you think I'm talking shit, or I'm not telling the truth, or I don't know what I'm talking about, go back, look at all of my videos over the past year, corroborate the time of when all this shit was going down, and you'll see. And then see what everyone else was saying, what everyone else was talking about while all that shit was going on. At the Royal Rumble, I said there were plays to get Vince McMahon out of that company. And then, what, a year later, there's a scandal, a sex scandal. Go figure. Don't believe me, go back and look. So, whenever I say some shit, and you don't think it's true, you don't think it's real, you think I'm crazy, you don't think I don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I'm just ahead of my time. Because in my guesstimation, the only thing I've been wrong about was Cody Rhodes going back to WWE. Well, the only thing that I didn't call months or a year in advance, years in advance, was Cody going back to WWE. And again, go back and listen to those videos. It was never a Mark thing. It was, we had a similar journey. Worked for companies, didn't appreciate us, left, went, started our own things, started making a name for ourselves, and boom. And no, I'm not talking about my YouTube channel. I'm talking about my real life. Started my own thing, started flourishing. He went, started his own thing, started flourishing, had a kid around the same time. I'm not going back to my old place at work. So, I was disappointed when he went back. That's the only reason I kept saying he wasn't going back. I didn't want him to. I knew he was. But go back and listen to all that stuff, I'm telling you. And if I'm wrong, tell me, and I'll apologize. But I'm pretty sure I've called almost everything that's been going down. And again, you want to do the research just to tell me I'm wrong? I'm here for it. But with all that said, I did say that the media scrum was a work. The fight was a work. Everybody else is insisting that it's a shoot, that the law is getting involved, and third-party investigations. And I just want to know if it's the FIC, the same people that handled the investigation when Mr. McMahon's limo blew up. Because instead of insisting it's a shoot like everybody else, or parroting that it's a shoot like everybody else, I think of it logically and start breaking it down, and then it all adds up. Usually adds up correctly. But I'm wrong. I'm sure you're thinking that it's a shoot. Everybody's saying it's a shoot. The law is involved. Here's why I do not think it's a shoot, and I think it's a work. Number one, they have been publicly saying that they want to have more realistic stories in their show. That's one. They said that months and months ago. Two, after that was said, and people start running with it after a couple of stories get leaked, everybody in the back is either suspended, have beef, have gotten into verbal or physical confrontations, or bury each other. It's like the Wild West. All of a sudden. Now, to be fair, I do not know the current relationship status of CM Punk and Colt Cabana. I don't know if that portion was a work or a shoot. I do not. But all of a sudden, CM Punk goes on a fucking rampage at the press conference or the media scrum. Starts saying he's tired of wrestling all these young kids who think they know everything. How many matches has he had in AEW? How many times has he showed up? How tired could he really be? Then he starts going on a massacre of the EVPs. Says they couldn't manage a fucking target. Okay. Media scrum over. Okay. The Young Bucks, who not only have never had any stories of any physical confrontation, they don't even look like they would ever kick someone's door in to try to confront them. Okay? Furthermore, an MMA fighter who has a 0-2 record, never won a real fight in his life, especially according to all those shoot interviews about those real backstage fights that he's ever gotten into. He's lost every one of them. Lost every UFC fight. He's going to just start throwing hands? And then some guy who's never been around before bites Kenny Omega, pulls his hair, throws a chair at the EVP, hits him in the eye. No one was arrested. And you're going to say, oh, well, no, there's an investigation going on. Bullshit. There's cops in the arena all the time. Every arena, every show. There is. Promise you, there is. If someone gets hit in the face with a steel chair, they're getting fucked up. So the medics are getting involved. The police will be getting involved also. Whoever did it is going to jail. If the entire wrestling world knows exactly what happened and no one's been arrested yet, it's a work. Sorry to tell you. It's a work. A very good work. But work nonetheless. CM Punk's been injured most of his time in AEW. You don't think that that could be part of the story? Maybe Tony Khan signed him up. You only have to make 3-4 appearances a year. Well, how am I going to get written off TV? Well, you're injured. You're brittle. We'll just run with that when the dirt sheet starts talking shit. Nobody thinks of that. Oh, but why would they do that, you say? Generate interest. Generate heat. I guarantee you watched Dynamite the next week. I'll bet you. Now, why would they do that? Make it look real. Why would he strip him of the title? Make it look real. Think about it. CM Punk doesn't have to wrestle. Okay? he was already 2-time world champion. It doesn't matter if he had a long run or whatever. He was still 2-time champion already. You can't have your champion not show up on TV. Or you could, but you gotta have a little bit of a longer reign than that. But you can't not have your champion on TV. So take it off him, strip him, because of the work press conference. Makes sense, right? Now he's suspended. People will forget about it. We'll come back whenever. Also, if no one is fired, it's work. Because you can't have executive vice presidents of a multi-million-dollar corporation on a national television network have a public meltdown like that and not be repercussions. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. And I keep asking the same question on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere. And it keeps pissing people off because I say one of two things is happening. Either this is a work or AEW was crumbling in front of our eyes. And everyone says, no, it's not. They'd be fine. No. No. It's going to be very hard to come back and get stable again from this. Now you look like a joke. You look like you can't get your shit together. You look like it's just a bunch of kids running around. I'm telling you. Now, why would they do something like that, you ask? Well, they didn't factor in the fact that the press conference would be the only thing people would talk about. They predicted they would put on a killer pay-per-view, and in all fairness, I didn't see it, but in all the reviews I saw, people liked it. So they figured, put on an awesome pay-per-view, and then have this exciting press conference, and they would dominate the weekend. They did dominate the weekend, but they didn't expect that the press conference would be what dominated the weekend. That was their only misfire in this work. Because that's what it is. It's a work. Because once you start thinking about stuff outside the box and start using logistics and logical thinking, you come to the realization there's only two options. So you got to pick your poison. Either this is a work or AEW is falling apart in front of your eyes. And being the optimist I am, I would like AEW to succeed, and I would like to put a little bit more faith into Tony Khan and think he's not a complete idiot. So I'd like to think it's a work. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe? I mean, it'd be nice. For every new subscriber, Loki gets a belly rub.
What? Ladies and gentlemen, before you, we have the greatest show of all time. We have a man that in his own modest way can tell you... I don't like it. I'm just telling you the truth. You like it? No! Listen to my fucking ranting. Listen to what you do to me. I don't believe you anymore.
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in.
Hosted by
this guy that ran with every woman that would have him from the time he was 15. You like it?
Yeah.
You want one?
And 90,000 people watching.
Woo.
In my moment of glory. Yeah, no, I'm living a nightmare.
I don't trust you. The fuck is that? You make me want to smoke. You fucked my damn...
Justin Dream.
Wow.